Thanks everybody for making the time to join this webinar. Brief agenda, what we're going to go through today. We're just going to do a quick introduction here of Action Associates and Acumatica for anyone who's not familiar with those two organizations. And then I'll hand it over to Doug and he'll walk us through a demo of some of the AI capabilities that are available within Acumatica that are relevant to manufacturers. And then we'll end off with some Q&A. So I'll start with just a quick introduction to Action Associates. Action's a leading technology partner in North America with a very rich history, over 45 years of background helping businesses transform through ERP implementations and other software and services. We've really built a reputation as one of the top VARs in the manufacturing industry. And our focus is not just in solving software. It's in trying to provide expertise and services, solutions that help our customers succeed long term. Our focus is partnering with in-demand next generation solutions like Acumatica that are tailored to the industries that we serve, construction, distribution, and manufacturing. We have a long partnership in history with Acumatica. We're very proud to be an Acumatica Gold certified partner, which really just recognizes the depth of expertise and commitment to customer success that we've had. And we've been honored to be Partner of the Year in the Acumatica ecosystem, nominated for Partner of the Year several times, and a perennial member, including in 2025 of Acumatica's President's Club, which is really just a recognition of partners that deliver the right client outcomes. Our investment in Acumatica is growing. We've made a big investment in our people, our skills and capabilities to support Acumatica customers at scale. We have a dedicated team of over 50 professionals that are solely focused on Acumatica sales, service, and support. So the idea of this expertise is to help ensure we can deliver functional expertise across industries and with different project types. We also bring a robust ecosystem of what people call ISVs, or like third-party add-ons that we've worked with, that we've tested, that we certify onto our catalog. And that just gives our clients access to add-ons that extend the Acumatica core functionality to meet specialized needs that are tested and verified. One of our biggest differentiators is our track record of successful go-lives. So that comes from the combination of the team, the focused industry expertise that I just mentioned, and also our proprietary lean implementation processes. Over time, we've developed this lean implementation methodology that's really designed to just streamline implementations, reduce risk, and produce shorter timelines to go live, higher adoption rates among our clients, and more predictable outcomes as they move through either adopting an ERP system for the first time or migrating from a legacy ERP system to something more modern. Through our lean implementation steps, we have an organized and predictable process of moving forward through go live. Doesn't mean that we don't encounter challenges and work along the way with our clients. We certainly do, but this framework helps us tackle those challenges efficiently and effectively as we move forward. And so it's really about understanding the challenges that business face as they try to implement an ERP system and providing them with the experience and the guidance to go through that implementation as smoothly as possible. From here, I'm going to switch gears and just talk a little bit about Acumatica and specifically Acumatica's manufacturing capability. So Acumatica's Manufacturing Edition is a group of Acumatica modules that are really designed to be an end-to-end solution for everything that a manufacturer needs to run their core back office and operation. So within Manufacturing Edition, it covers everything from engineering and bills of materials through production, advanced planning and scheduling, production, shop floor scheduling, costing, variance, analytics, and of course, tool sets like MRP for planning of purchasing, planning of production. It even has some pretty advanced capabilities around things like product configuration, so being able to build and price different configured items. And it has an estimating tool set that allows you to estimate on a custom product or a custom good first cost, and then apply markups to get to pricing, and all of that streamlined into item creation and bills of material creation. They have a shop floor data collection tool set that allows you to enter in actual costs. It's continuing to be enhanced through things like barcodes and shop floor kiosks. But Manufacturing Edition alone is a robust platform that's really designed to cover off manufacturing operations end to end, and can be incorporated into simple or complex manufacturing environments. And then a critical differentiator for Acumatica is the additional modules that they package around manufacturing. So there's a lot of manufacturing solutions, manufacturing ERPs that are out there that cover off a lot of the items that I just mentioned. But Acumatica, part of its key value prop is that it also has strong capabilities that complement the Manufacturing Edition. So it's not just a manufacturing solution, it's an enterprise solution that's bringing all of the departments of a business into one system. So that includes things like advanced financials, global currencies, project management, CRM tool sets to be able to manage funnel, pipeline, quoting opportunities, field service tools to do installation, repair work, asset management to manage equipment maintenance, to manage fixed asset accounting. All of that's built within one single platform. All of these are modules within Acumatica built on the same code base, and that means they connect seamlessly to each other. And so the strength of these complementary modules is something that really differentiates Acumatica. They're very robust in a lot of these areas, and it's about bringing everybody into one core system so that you're not struggling with multiple disconnected applications. Three real differentiators for Acumatica as an organization or as a technology partner. First off, Acumatica is very modern but proven. So founded in 2008, built for the cloud since day one, and has at this point a global track record of success in manufacturing with thousands of clients. They really focus on mid-market companies, so they're focused on the challenges that come with managing a small and mid-sized business, scalability challenges, adoption challenges, and getting people to change the way that they do things. It's not just technology for technology's sake. They've also built in this real customer-centric culture. They have a very active community online. And so you get a partner that's willing to work with you and can help you be successful in the long term. And the technology piece being on the cloud and being cloud native, this slide is really about what that unlocks and the possibilities of a cloud native ERP that just aren't possible in on-premise software. So at the most fundamental level, cloud gives you access anywhere, anytime, on any device to your ERP system. So whether you have remote teams or sales guys that are traveling or multiple production facilities, your teams can collaborate without any technology barriers. The cloud also simplifies integrations. Tools like REST APIs, modern API sets that are available, help cloud tools connect and allow data to flow freely across multiple systems. And because everything's in the cloud, you're always on the latest version. So you don't have to go through that sort of upgrade pain. In terms of AI, cloud is a fundamental tool set that really sets the stage for that type of innovation. So things like AI automation, analytics that Doug's going to talk about become accessible because of the computing power and the elasticity of the computing power that's available in the cloud. So the cloud isn't just a deployment choice anymore. Do you want to go cloud or do you want to go on premise? It's really a fundamental driver of very critical, unique possibilities. And it's the foundation of not only these things here, but also AI that are helping you operate smarter, faster, more efficiently. And then this is my last slide before I hand it over to Doug. This is the Acumatica Customer Bill of Rights. It really captures, to me, what makes Acumatica different as an ERP partner. Acumatica is the only ERP vendor that publishes a Customer Bill of Rights. And so there's 10 things on here. You can Google the Acumatica Customer Bill of Rights and you can get lots of detail on it. But things like transparent pricing, things like unlimited users, things like clear ownership of your data, it's all about building trust. And so Acumatica is publishing this publicly. They're making public promises to the market about what to expect from them in an effort to build trust and to prove transparency. And that's a very fundamental piece as well to AI. When you start to incorporate tools like AI into your ERP and give AI access to your most critical business data, having a partner that you can trust on that journey becomes more important than ever. So when AI becomes a major part of ERP, you need absolute confidence that the vendor you're working with is trustworthy, they're secure, they're transparent about how your data is being used. And I think the Customer Bill of Rights and just that act of a public commitment to a Bill of Rights really validates that Acumatica is going to be that transparent partner through this AI transformation that everybody's going through. Okay. So with that, I'll hand it over to Doug to get into the actual AI features in Acumatica.
All right. Thank you very much, Tanner. I appreciate it. Let me share my screen since I'll be doing some demonstrations. So as we were saying, AI is going to be an important part of what happens. And I think all of you are probably already familiar with AI. You've seen it in the news. And we've talked a lot about what it is. So let me show you a little bit more about how it's going to apply to ERP in particular and with manufacturing within ERP. I do better talking to diagrams, so let me show you this one. This is the world according not to Gartner and IDC, but we've kind of tailored this one to represent an easy way to segment this. We have a couple different things. We have algorithmic type things. These are machine learning more than anything. So think about when you recognize a document, like let's say somebody sends a PDF bill to you, and we do recognize all the fields, and then you get the output and you don't like one of the fields, like the vendor name, so you go ahead and switch it, and it comes back, and then the machine learns so that the next time a similar input comes, it doesn't make the same mistake it made before. Machine learning, that's very effective for that. But now this new thing that Tanner was mentioning, that the cloud and mass production is really important for, called generative AI. This is what demands a ton of power, and it's basically a new brain for your ERP system. And by a new brain, I mean your most ERP systems are based on things, based on a database that has a relationships, a relational database. Generative AI is based on training this other data engine, which is based on vectors. So that allows it to build things and come up and create content in new and creative ways. So what I mean by that is you can take one of these large language models and basically put in anything out there in the web or within the world and train this large language model. What that allows you to do is then come in and ask questions of it. So unlike an ERP where you're managing things inside screens, clicking mouses, and typing, you might be doing that, but you could also use verbal commands, and you can speak in English to ask questions to this large language model. Now, the large language model can then respond. And what this has been particularly useful for is for high schoolers who are trying to write a term paper and have not read the book. So it's very good at that. It's also good at doing things related to, like, let's say I want to have a picture of a squirrel eating a nut. I can give it that command and it will do it. But to make it useful for manufacturers, what we really need to do is we need to get all this ERP data into this model somehow and train it. Now, one of the things Acumatica has always been good with is we have role-based security. So in the process of sending all this data into here, we have to be very careful that we don't chop up and chop out all that security permissions when we go ahead and create our train the model. Because then what it allows you to do is ask a question like, give me a list of the salaries of everybody in my company, and it will go grab that and happily produce it. So Acumatica builds safeguards and securities into our process, and I'll explain that in another diagram coming up in just a second. Acumatica's AI is basically built so that you can use it quickly, easily, and efficiently. Some of the things that we're building right now are things like intelligent advisors. So it looks at all of your data and says, you may want to try this. Automation. So if you have data in the system that you're repeating the same task over and over and over again, you can say, hey, machine, go do this. Or if X happens, then do Y. Interactive assistants are another one. So if you're in the middle of doing some work, maybe doing something in a screen, you can ask the computer for some help, or the AI. Sometimes the help is valuable, sometimes it's not. So when we go do that, getting back to the core ideas, we always keep an eye on giving you control. We're not letting the machine basically take over. So at a high level, Acumatica has, you're in using Acumatica on your browser. You can also use your mobile phone. We also have external systems that feed data in. And think of AI as another input to all these different things that's going into our database. So the benefit of treating this model is that all the security is managed here as things come in and out. Acumatica's never trusted a browser that's out on someone's PC, and we're not going to trust all the data that comes from AI and ML without publishing it through the security model. So this is really important because it means that all the outbound data as well, if I ask, if I try and get to a screen with people's salaries on it, it's going to get blocked. If I try and do things that I'm not authorized to do, it's going to get blocked. If AI comes up with this great riddle that they want to put into the description of something, that's not going to make it in either. So we're very cognizant of that happening. Now, within a little more drilling down into these cloud servers, you can see you have all of your business logic. This is where all your bill of materials, your production orders, your estimating modules, all those things Tanner talked about earlier get done here in this business logic. And you'll notice that the only way to get into this database and the only way to get data in and out is through that business logic. That's very, very important in terms of the security model. You'll also notice something else. you'll notice that we've built things internally. We have an internal LLM. We use this for several of our different areas that you might be interested in, such as anomaly detection. We don't we maintain this LLM, so you don't have to worry about the complexity of setting it up and doing things like that. In the most recent release of Acumatica, we just launched 25R2, we include AI Studio. This allows you to bring your own LLM. The benefit of that is that that gives you the confidence and trust that you can manage your own LLM and you can train it with your data and other things. And you know that that cannot be shared because this is within your firewall. Now, once again, nothing to worry about here. This is all within our firewall and securely managed. But there are different types of applications that are very easy to use. These require writing your own prompts, and I'll get into that in just a minute. The other thing I want to point out, and I don't have a demo that's going to be able to do this for you today, but you can talk to this. So the incoming user interface has changed significantly. So let's start actually seeing what this looks like. So the intelligent advisor, anomaly detection is one of the things that is really important. So why is anomaly detection important? Because ERP systems are complex, have a lot of data in them, and getting things that you can take action on without searching around for them is particularly important. So I'm going to go into a little bit of anomaly detection. And within that, there's all these different things within your production process that it'll keep track of. These are some of the out of the box things that come, but I'll explain later how you can even get more and write your own. So I'm going to switch over here to an actual deployment. And you may have seen this before. This is a diagram showing all the different things that occur within our manufacturing edition. You'll see there's bills of material, production orders. If I click on, for example, a bill of material, it'll open up that screen with my list of my bill of material screen. Here's one I created for the demo today. I created a really simple coffee maker with a couple of steps involved and some simple runtime. I just mold basically some metal into a coffee maker somehow. So other than that, I know some of you have more complex things going on, but that's what we'll be using today. Now, after running through that process and doing some production orders based on that bill of material, things start to get a little more complicated to keep in touch with. So we have a production manager dashboard, which gives the production manager, the person responsible for running the shop floor, to give a bird's eye view of what's going on. Now you'll notice I added a couple things you probably haven't seen before in the out of the box dashboard, and these are anomaly detection that the AI is generating. Every night it runs these anomaly detections and fills out this. So now I can click into this and see, well, maybe some strange things happened with my labor yesterday. In fact, one strange thing may have happened. So this is going to surface those issues that normally you wouldn't be able to see. Give it a second to load. Now you'll notice that here I can take a look at everything or just the anomalies that have been found. And in this case, it was searching for labor times that seem a little off. Well, it's tough to see what's off, so let me go look at all the records. I can also use this filter by group to see exactly what was compared. Now you'll see my red line here has a particular problem, and you'll notice that that problem happens to be linked to the fact that, well, we have a different employee that came in and tried to do the work on this work center with a specific operation and took longer. Maybe the first time he tried to do it, whatever the reason is, it surfaced that. If it was the employee's first day on the job, we might say, great, reviewed it, and we can add a comment that, yeah, we reviewed it. It was his first day on the job. Give him a chance, and he'll probably get better. Also, you'll notice that I can take a bigger look at my production orders. So that was just looking at labor in particular, how it relates to the different workstations. If I want to, I can click on this one, which takes a broader view of my production orders. So what I'm looking for now is anything where I have a large variance on my costs versus actuals on my production orders. So once again, I can back this out a little bit and see other transactions. And you'll see that I'm a little bit over, and a lot of them I'm actually doing better, but on these particular ones, the cost has gone above. So here's one where I have made a Keurig. Here's another one where I made a coffee maker. So let's drill in and see if we can do some investigating here. So the benefit of anomaly detection is as I say, it runs in the background. And now I can see and drill into this production order that caused the issue. As you know, in the totals tab, I can see what was planned and actually delivered. And it looks like this labor line is what caused the majority of the variance. Now, after I've gotten to this, I can go through all these individuals. I can even open up this side panel to get a specific look at what specifically was the problem. And you'll see quantity-wise, I was fine, but labor, as before, was probably the issue. So I'm guessing if I drilled into this labor, I'd get right back to my same problem I saw before, where I had a novice person doing some work, which was flagged, and then we'll come and give them a chance in the future to do it. Now within this, one more quick thing. Let me open that back up. You can enable different things within Acumatica to do this. Setting this up is very easy. It's all based on these things called inquiries, which you can write. So if I pull up the inquiry that drove that particular anomaly, I can go in and I can manage it, change it, update it, and even cause it the parameters to change. So for example, within Acumatica 25R2, if I look through here, let's look for some machine learning type inquiries. You can see we've added a bunch of production inquiries, so you don't have to build them, that look for anomalies. We also have things where if you want to look for anomalies in your sales and purchase orders, that's also possible. But anything within the entire list of all the inquiries can be flagged and looked for anomalies. It's really simple to do. You click this tab and then you go in and you fill out a couple of fields here. The grouping is in case, for example, maybe you think that you just want to do it by inventory ID. So you don't want to necessarily say, well, the labor, whatever you're trying to home in on. This lets you kind of segment that out and say, I would expect, the labor to take longer or the variance to be more on a particularly on different inventory IDs that are brand new for my company and I've just started manufacturing them. That'll help you refine what you're doing. The date field is also important. The date field's important because if you have a anomaly with a trend, so for example, something like this, and your variances or whatever you're measuring is kind of going up on a calendar basis, if you tell the system to take a look at that, it'll identify 4 as the average and analyze your anomalies as January and December. If you add that date field, the computer will then have the intelligence to find March as the actual culprit in this case. So once again, these are all different things that you can go and take advantage of. They're immediately available in anomaly detection in 25R1, and in 25R2 we added all these capabilities to trace them as well. The other thing that we've done is we've got another interactive assistant. So I talked about anomaly detection as insights, but another thing that's really important is to get assistance while you're working inside Acumatica. So for this one, due to time purposes, I'm going to show a click-through demo. So this is a situation where you have different data and you want to start asking questions of it. So let's go here to my assistant. And then this is where I can actually start doing language. So I can say, how are my sales compared to yesterday? I actually would normally speak this, but on a webinar, it wasn't practical. I can ask other questions like, how much inventory do I have? Or what are my top selling inventory IDs? And it'll come and it'll provide a chart for that. And more importantly, it'll allow for follow-on questions. If I ask it, no, give me my top 10, not my top 3, it'll know what I'm talking about and provide that information. And then lastly, if I get something I really like and I say this might be useful for someone else, I can add this to a chart within a dashboard. So all of these things are, once again, built into the system so that you don't have to really go through and you can ask questions, and this works with any generic inquiry. That's a future one, so keep that in mind as we come out with that. Something you'll see more about that in 2026. Now, the last one I want to talk about it, since it came out just yesterday in 2025 R2, we have a thing where you can bring your own machine learning engine to Acumatica. And I want to demonstrate some of the things that are really important with regard to that, and to give you a little bit of insight as to how it's going to work. So let's take a look at what we're calling AI Studio right now. And for that, I'm going to bring over another site. Now, this one's not directly related to your manufacturing problem, but it does deal with the salespeople that are trying to create sales orders for you. So, for example, let's look at a list of opportunities that this salesperson might be working on. Now, the opportunities could be big, but oftentimes the salespeople organize these opportunities in terms of work lists. So instead of looking at all the opportunities available to them, which there's hundreds or thousands, they narrow it down to things that they need to see. So I've spotted one here where there might be a custom build to order product that Alta Ace wants to order. I can open up that opportunity in a side panel. This allows me to make changes to it. If I wanted to update, the date when it's expected, update the total amount, or do something like that, I can do it. But I can also take a look at all the things that are related to this. So this is something where I need some detailed requirements. So I need to know how to do this build to order product. So let's follow up with an email to ask about that. Now, within the email process, things can kind of get complicated. So let's make that a little easier by using the LLM to do the AI Studio. So we'll send a note to say, call to set up requirements meeting. And I can then go in and add the gist of what I want to say in this area. So I can say, let's meet to discuss custom requirements for your make to order item. And I said, that's not great if I just send that. So I can, using a normal way, I could select an Acumatica template, or I could ask my LLM to do the work for me and massage that a bit and make it look a little prettier. So now I've got something that looks a little more interesting. Now also think about what LLMs can do. I could have fed my calendar into that, and I could have formatted this so availability automatically would appear here. So things like that are very interesting when it comes to using these LLMs to do what needs to do. Oops, I might want to send that out before I get rid of it. And then, of course, it'll show up here as something that's going out the door if I had actually turned on my email processing. Now, in addition to that, I can take a look at some other areas where that would be helpful. And specifically, let's go to a different one. Let's go to somebody in support and see what they have to look at. So the support manager is interested in assigning things to cases. This gets into the, so I have unassigned cases. I want to know how to assign people. But more importantly, I don't want to have to deal with assigning things manually or doing that. So I can open this up and show another example of where I can feed information into the computer and the computer can make the decisions for me. So give me a second while this loads up. This will be my list of all my cases, and here's one that hasn't been assigned to anybody, so I'll open it. Now, the interesting thing about this case is that you'll see it comes in. I have a blank owner, so I want to do that. Now, within Acumatica already, we have really very good assignment and approval maps where you can do that. You'll also notice that there's a severity and a priority. Now, one of the things that an LLM can do is it can sense the urgency because it has that, built-in thing, just like for the high school or writing a term paper, it can write in a certain tone. Now, it can also see that I need one by tomorrow and not be able to collect my project on time. So when I start assigning my owner, it'll read through all the information that I send into it, and it will take all that information and say, yeah, I'm going to automatically update that to a higher priority because the word maybe tomorrow, or maybe some urgency is done. If I had typed some other mechanism or process, maybe it would have automatically put the severity and priority to low. So now I can save that, and that's become part of my overall structure that's associated with that. When I update, now I only have 4 unassigned cases. So these are all things that can work in the background. The other thing that's very interesting is that, as I said, you can bring your own, but let's take a look at what the LLM prompts look like. So here's several different prompts. I showed you refining an email reply that can work in various places. I showed you setting the case priority. You may have seen before, you can take a whole bunch of things within a case and do those notes. You can even take a whole bunch of manufacturing data and do updates based on that. Think in the future of how you're going to schedule your jobs. If I can send a whole bunch of information to an LLM and have it make predictions, that would also be a good thing for scheduling in the future. I don't have anything to show you on that right now. This is a very early version of this, but these are some of the types of things that you would do. I can also automatically update items within the descriptions of things. So let's drill into one of these just to see what it looks like. So I can go select any LLM. This is where you can bring your own entity. So if I click this, it'll open up an LLM connection screen, and you can see we support various different ones. OpenAI is similar to ChatGPT. Anthropic is Claude, and other things. So you can get your own personal copy of those, get some simple connection criteria, and bring that in so that you can write your own prompts for that. Once you do that, you can then write the instructions telling the machine what you want it to do. In this case, I wanted to create a description for some item that I'm going to pick. And then you can also tell it where and what you want the output to look like. So these things are, as I say, they're not as simple as, speaking to the machine to get data out like I showed in my previous click-through demo, but they are things that give you tons of power to go update data and make suggestions in real time within Acumatica. Now, getting back to where we are and some of the things that I've been talking about and how all that fits into our priorities. We have several things related to AI that are already in production. Document recognition, expense receipt recognition. I showed you anomaly detection. The interactive assistant that I showed, building using your voice to search through all the Acumatica data and build charts and grids. We're looking to do that in 2026. And then AI Studio, I showed you where you can immediately start taking advantage of that if you upgrade to 25 R2, and it has beta, but this slide's a day old since we launched general availability yesterday. There's each different area has different things that are associated with it. Think about predictive maintenance. You can send a whole bunch of data to the LLM, and it can predict when a machine might need investigation. It can do different types of automation, capacity planning I mentioned. All these things are great suggestions for things that you can turn over to your machine to basically free you up to do more important things. The key driving principles that we're looking at, responsible. I talked earlier about how LLMs have the ability to chop up security and compromise your data. We're implementing it in a way that will never happen. That's one of the most important things we're looking at, so that your data stays your data, as Tanner showed in the Bill of Rights. Practical. What use is it if it's going to cost $40,000 of an LLM data to catch an error worth $1,000? So we need to be cognizant of the fact that real money is behind this, and build pricing and other models that you can do. The other thing about practical, actually I sneaked valuable in on there a little bit. The other thing about practical is, remember our internal LLM that we've used? Remember how I showed you how to do AI analysis and how to do document recognition? All that just happens regularly from within inside Acumatica. You didn't have to write any prompts or do things like that. So it's very easy to use in the sense that you just simply put that in. Last but not least, I'd like to, just kind of summarize. We're here, we're ready, we understand AI is important, and we're working on it, and we're working on and delivering it exactly as I said on the previous slide. For more information that is up to date, we have a web page about AI that is you can find on our current website. Keeping our AI webpage up to date might be a good thing for AI since things are uh, moving so quickly in this area. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Tanner to do some wrap up and see if we have any time left for a couple of questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Doug. Okay, I think my screen is back now. So just last sort of concept we wanted to end on this idea of AI readiness and practical ways to prepare for what's coming. So likely many manufacturers are interested in AI. They understand how the technology can be leveraged, but are they ready from a technology perspective to actually incorporate this into their business, into their ERP system? So first thing, adopting true cloud ERP. Cloud ERP is really the only way for the small and mid-sized businesses to get AI adoption inside their ERP system. If you're running on premise, AI workloads are going to hit a ceiling very quickly. So that's the first change. Number two, obviously, AI is only as good as the data that it learns from. So to the extent that you're leveraging an ERP system today, consolidating operational, financial, production data into that system is critical. If you're not in an ERP system today, it's going to be very, very difficult to do that. If your data is in spreadsheets and paper files and disconnected systems, it's going to be difficult for AI to deliver value. So a critical first step is really developing that single source of truth. Number three, experimenting with local or private LLMs. A local LLM is like a private AI model that runs on your own infrastructure or a private cloud. It stays secure and under your control, unlike public AI tools. So you can incorporate these things. They're available in the marketplace. A good way to kind of start with experimenting with different AI tools, if you haven't already, manufacturers are bringing these in. General knowledge assistance, feed your standard operating procedures, your quality manuals, your safety policies into one. Employees can query it like a chatbot. Document processing, you're getting supplier contracts, you're getting technical drawings. You don't want to send those out into a public AI, but you want to use AI to start to process them. Shop floor support, put this onto a tablet or a kiosk on the shop floor. Operators can ask natural language questions like, how do I reset this CNC machine? And they can get responses based off of the manuals and the inputs that you've uploaded in the back end. So ERP is obviously a critical system. There's AI enhancements that are coming there that will affect operations and analysis. Local LLMs can be experimented with now. They sit alongside it, can also provide a lot of assistance. Staff training. A lot of people don't know how to use tools like ChatGPT, even still. And so that sort of basic training, and then training on becoming more data centric. So interpreting things like dashboards, interpreting things like anomalies, and being able to make decisions and leverage those types of tools is a data-driven skill set that you need to upskill your workforce for them to take advantage of these types of things. And then last, but of course not least, the setting of internal policies. If you don't have these today, you need to start setting policies around the use of AI in your business, data privacy, security, ethical use. Um, Critically, on the ERP side, you want to make sure you know who owns your ERP data and what they're allowed to do with it. Just like you wouldn't run a machine without safety procedures, AI is no different. You need those types of security and governance pieces. That's a critical part of AI readiness. So those are kind of just like food for thought things that you can take back with you.